Hello students, welcome to grade 7 English grammar class. And today in this session, we are going to practice more about verbs. You already know what are the verbs because you have been learning verbs ever since you were in grade 1. So you are absolutely aware of that the verbs are the action words. Any action which you perform, be it eating or sleeping, walking, running, talking, watching, writing, right? All these action words are actually the verb. And they are changeable when it comes to the tense or the mood of the verbs, right? You use them in a sentence to show the action performed by a subject and the object that is affected by that action, right? So this is what you know about the verb. Now today in this session we are going to practice about different verbs. So the first verb which I'm definitely going to teach about is the action word. The action word we have already spoken. Wherever you see an action happening, right? So boy is running, right? So what action can you see happening in this sentence? You can see the boy running, right? So the action is run, right? So is running is actually the action word of the verb here. It is the action verb wherever you see the action being performed, right? I brush my teeth every morning, right? So what is the action performed? Brush, right? Every morning. So brush is the action word here, right? So that is the simplest form of the verb to be understood. Now let's learn about some more types of verbs. So we are going to study about the helping verbs, which I'm sure you already know that when we use the verbs in their base form to show the action in the present tense, right? That is the action word which is sitting as the root word in the sentence. Like I walk, right, by the beach, right? I go for bicycling every evening. So go, walk. I brush my teeth every day. So brush, go, walk, eat, sleep, talk, right? Sit, run, stand. These all are verbs. When we have to show the action happening in continuity, we change the face of the verb by adding ing in the root word, right? So walk becomes walking, run becomes running, sleep becomes sleeping, speak becomes speaking, and so on, right? But we cannot use these ing words as verbs without the use of the helping verbs. So we cannot say she sleeping. We have to use a helping verb to complete the meaning of that sentence. Hence, we complete the sentence by adding a helping verb with he, she, it personal pronouns, that is, right? She is running. He is sleeping, right? It is barking, right? So, the verb here in these sentences will be is sleeping, is running, is barking. When it comes to the plural one, we use they are clapping. So, are clapping is actually the complete verb. It is a combination of are, which is a helping verb, and clapping, which is the root cause ing verb, right? So, it is a compound verb actually, right? So, what are the helping verbs when it comes to understanding the reason why do we use them? Is, are, am in the present tense, right? So, is used with the personal pronouns like he, she, it, and the names, right? Any singular noun. When it comes to using am, that is used with the first person pronoun, that is I, right? Am is only and only used with I, right? So, I am speaking to you. So, am is actually working here as a helping verb, right? Then we use, in the past tense. So, it is actually was and were. with ing words, right? So she was talking to her friend. So was talking is the compound verb where was is actually the helping verb, right? So was is used with the singulars as well as the personal pronouns like she and he and it, right? She was, he was, it was, right? Whenever it comes to the plurals, you, we, they, right? Or the plural nouns, were is used with the root verb in ing in the sentences, right? When we talk about the future tenses, so here will be, right? So will be becomes the helping verb with ing words like she will be going to the market next day. He will be coming to meet us tomorrow, right? So will be becomes the helping verb here. Hence, these are the compound verbs. So in your compound verbs, you see the two verbs sitting next to each other. One is actually the changed or transformed form of the verb, main verb or the root verb, and one which is actually helping you to complete the meaning of the sentence, that is the helping verb, right? In your perfect tenses also you use the helping verbs as in has and have, right? So has is used with singulars or he, she, it, personal singular pronouns, right? And have is used with first person pronoun I and the plurals, right? So, and that is used, has and have actually are used with the past participle form of the verb, like he has done his work. Done is actually the past participle form of the verb and has is used as a helping verb in this sentence. They have written their work, right? So have written, have is actually a helping verb and written is actually the past participle of the root verb. So this is how we understand that where or wherever you see a small verb sitting with the main verb which is sitting in a transformed phase like ing or past participle, right? Any irregular phase, that is actually the helping verb which is helping the main verb to complete the meaning of the sentence, right? So this is all about helping verbs. Now we talk about the modal verbs. What are the modal verbs, right? Modal verbs are the verbs which pertain to show the action in a specific manner. So if I say I have to show the possibility, right? And I have to advise someone. I have to request someone, right? So I replace the root word, that is the action word, with a modal verb. So if I have to show my capability in doing some task, so I will not say that all the time. If I say I am able to do this task efficiently, am able is actually the compound verb here, whereas am is actually the helping verb and able is the root verb. I can replace this am able with can, right? I can do this task efficiently. So can, which is used in place of am able, is a modal verb, right? Similarly, we have the necessity, right, or ability to show, or whenever we show the probability also. So when it is little humid and we say that it may rain in a while, right? So may is actually a modal verb to show the possibility. When we advise someone, we say you should not, take heavy loads on your back. So should not, should is actually the modal verb. You must not speak when the school assembly is going on. So must not, it is actually the modal verb. You must complete your work on time, right? So here we are actually showing the necessity, the importance of a work to be done on time, right? Hence, so it becomes the modal verbs. Fine, I hope you know that these are the modal verbs which actually take place of the root verbs or the action verbs, right? Then we study about non-finite and finite verbs. What are the non-finites and finite verbs? A finite verb is a form of the verb that has a subject which shows the present and the past form and can function as the root of an independent clause. Right? Whereas a finite verb do not modify their form even when there is a change of the number or person of the subject or change in the tense of the sentence. For example, she can write a letter. Right? So write is used with the modal verb. Right? It becomes the finite verb because you are not changing the face of it. Right? Whereas if I use the root verb with a helping verb, it will change its face. So, is playing. So, playing is actually the non-finite verb, right? So, it will not modify their form even when there is a change of number or person of the subject or change in the tense of the sentence, right? So, these are actually the finite and the infinite verbs. Now, let's learn about the transitive and intransitive verbs. Transitive verbs have an object that is affected by the action performed by the subject. So, I am a subject, right? And I am writing a letter, right? So, here verb is am writing. And what am I writing? I am writing a letter. So, a letter is actually my object. I is a subject, right? I am writing a letter. So, I, subject, which is a personal pronoun, first person personal pronoun, right? Am writing is your compound verb, where am sitting is your helping verb. Writing is sitting as your root verb, as in your, non-finite verb, ing, right? It is actually changed into ing. A letter is actually your object. So, by my action, right? And my action is what? Writing. What is affected? The letter, right? Hence, it is a transitive verb. So, any verb that has an object after it, right, is a transitive verb. Wherever you do not have the object after the action, right, the action is actually not affecting directly any object, that is intransitive verb, right? Like, I love to write, right? So, I love to write, there is no object. It is just the action, Hence, it is intransitive. So, your, love is actually intransitive verb. To write is your infinitive verb. Wherever you have to plus the root verb, that becomes your infinitive verb. Okay. So, let's understand this with some examples. For transitive verbs, he is writing an autobiography. So, he is the subject. Is writing is your verb, right? And what is he writing? An biography. So, an autobiography. So, an autobiography is the object, he is the subject and his action is writing, right? So, his action of writing is affecting, one object which is sitting after the verb, hence it is a transitive verb. The gardener waters the plants in the morning, right? So, the gardener is actually the subject. Waters is your verb and the plants in the morning. So, what is affecting? Plants, right? So, the action is affecting the plants. Hence, the plants is the object here, it becomes the transitive verb. Whenever we talk about the intransitive verb, you know that there is no object sitting after the verb. So, the baby is sleeping nicely. And the baby is simply sleeping. So, it is actually displaying the action of the baby. What is happening with the baby? The baby is sleeping. Is sleeping is your verb, but there is no object after this. Hence, it is intransitive. So, simply transitive verbs have an object after the action, after the verbs are used, wherein intransitive verbs do not have any object. Simple as that. So, if I say, the tree has fruits. So, it is possessive. What has fruits? The tree. Tree is the subject. Has is the possessive verb, right? And fruits is the object. Hence, it is transitive. The tree is swinging in the wind, right? It's swinging. Swinging is swinging is your verb and the tree is the subject, right? But does it have any object. In the wind is actually, adverbial phrase. So we will not consider it as an object, right? There is no object. It is simply like, where is the tree swinging? It is swinging in the wind. In the wind will not be considered as an object, right? Here it will, this verb is swinging will become the intransitive verb. Okay, now there is one more term called ditransitive. What is ditransitive? Di means two. Di, di means two, right? It means when a verb has two objects sitting after it. That is ditransitive. Let's read some examples. Like, Rohan took his mother to the dentist, right? So what are the two objects? What are the two nouns specifically? You can see here. Rohan took his mother. So whom did he take? His mother. So mother is actually the object. To the dentist. Dentist is also a noun. It is also an object. Hence, this verb took has two objects sitting after it. So it becomes the ditransitive verb. You can call it the transitive also, right? That is also absolutely fine. But just to understand it better, just to have a better understanding of the verbs, we'll say that it is a ditransitive verb because it has two objects sitting after it, right? One more example which I would like to read for you, that is Ben gave John the Rubik cube, right? So Ben is the subject, gave is the verb, then you have John, right? So John is a noun, right? It is a name of a boy, hence it is an object, right? And what did he give? He gave a Rubik cube, right? So your Rubik cube becomes another object. Hence Ben, the subject, if you just remove, gave is a verb. Gave has two objects, John and Rubik cube, two objects sitting after it. Hence it becomes the ditransitive verb, right? Now, a very interesting, type of verb which is incomplete. So when you actually show the action, like the fire burns, sun rises, earth rotates, plants grow. This is actually, a sentence, right? We cannot call it a clause, right? Because it has a subject and it has a verb. So any clause, a phrase that has a subject and an action that actually generates its own meaning is a complete, sentence, right? And we understand the meaning of this sentence. But the verb is actually called incomplete verb, right? Why is it an incomplete verb? Because it is actually used as a universal opinion. So plants grow, earth rotates, we survive, right? Fire burns, right? These are actually the universal facts expressed through the incomplete verbs. So these are the types of verbs which we covered in this session, right? I hope you have been able to understand all types of verbs, beginning from action verbs, right, which are simple actions used in sentence to show the performance by the subject, right? Then comes the helping verbs. So helping verbs are actually the verbs which help the main verb or the root verb when it is transformed into an ing or a past participle form, right? Is, are, am, has, have, will be, right? These are all the helping verbs. After helping verbs, we practice the modal verbs. Modal verbs replace the root verb to show the action, specifically for the mannerisms like capability, possibility, probability, necessity, right? Request, advise, obligation, right? So these are actually the basic requirements of using a modal verb: can, may, must, might, should, right? These are all the modal verbs. Then we studied about finite and non-finite verbs. Simply when the root verb stays the same, coming with other form of verb, that is finite, like can write, I can write. So can is a modal verb, write is a root verb. Hence it is a finite verb, right? Because it is not changing its phase. It remains as is. I could write it, I can write it, I would be able to write it. So infinitive also actually the finite verb only. Non-finite, when actually the root verb changes its phase, right? Like it becomes past participle or the continuous tense. So, I am writing, so write becomes writing, or I have written, write becomes written. Hence, it becomes it is, considered as the non-finite verb, right? Then comes the transitive, intransitive. Transitive verbs have one or, two objects or more than two objects sitting after that, wherein intransitive verbs do not have any objects sitting after that. Right? So their action actually do not affect any object. Right? Then we have ditransitive, which has two. The verbs which have two objects sitting after that, that is ditransitive. And the last one is incomplete, which is actually to express the universal facts. Right? So these are the main types of verbs which we actually discussed today in this session. I hope you have been able to understand it, and in our next session we will actually attempt few exercises to practice it further. Till that time, thank you so much.